These examples are provided to help you see what other organizations have done and are not intended to be recommendations or suggestions on how you should be documenting and setting your risk levels. This example from a public sector organization, in this case a school board, describes its risk in an interesting way. They've got the same scale of 1 to 5 and the same description ranking from insignificant to catastrophic. What's interesting is they've set sort of performance targets against several of their key criteria and are using those to define the risk levels. So, for example, what the impact of that risk is on student achievement targets. So insignificant and less than 5% variation, going all the way up to over 50%. What does it do in terms of safety to people, whether those are employees, students, or the broader community? Financial losses, insignificant for them is less than $10,000 and catastrophic for them is more than $1 million. As well as things like reputation, operational efficiency and governance, and service interruption. And so what's interesting is once they've set this criteria, it makes it easier for the team to assess any new risk because they can look at it against this criteria. Here's an example where they've set the criteria, for example, cost reduction, and then they've established the 1 to 5 scale, minor up to catastrophic, in terms of specific performance numbers against those key criteria. So in this case, they've determined 3 critical success factors and have determined the risk tolerance around those. In this example, they've done the same thing. The rating from, in this case, from the greatest 5 to 1. They've moved away from the traditional words and used more Anglo words like very high, high, medium, low, very low. And again, they've looked at key criteria. So what does it mean in terms of strategic, financial turnover, customers, reputational, legal, and again, try to set some performance levels that organization members can use when establishing a score for the risks. Ontario 1 has taken a similar risk footprint to what we saw before, but simplified the definitions considerably. And again, they've then set those, the ranking from 5 down to 1, and 3 key business objectives: financial, reputational, and systems reliability, and then take a look at the overall core metric, in this case, outages, and then what the level 1 or 5 catastrophic or worst case scenario is in terms of 100,000 customers or distributors down, 1,000 megawatts and so forth. So it again allows for the quantification of these risks against their criteria and allows a more level set when they evaluate new risk situations. Again, these are intended as thought pieces rather than recommendations.